There's a therapy that lately many people have begun to implement, and it involves taking cold showers to cure all diseases. You see many people who have already bought these bathtubs for their homes, filling them with ice and water. But does this really offer any benefits? Some point to the literature, but there are also many critics. So we're told it can have benefits for mental health, cardiovascular health, and more. Stay with me until the end because in this video, I will share what science and literature say today about the benefits of taking cold showers. In this video, we're going to cover what the benefits are, how long you should stay under the water, and the mechanisms by which it acts on your body. We'll also discuss how to do it incorrectly, the risks involved, and who it's contraindicated for, so you know whether or not you can do it. Let's start by talking about the benefits of taking cold baths or even baths with water that's near freezing level. The number one benefit is that it helps reduce levels of both acute and chronic inflammation. But it's very important to understand who can and cannot benefit from this type of mechanism. The second mechanism is that it helps improve the performance or recovery you have, especially after high-intensity physical training. Thirdly, some studies show that cold showers or immersion in cold water can help improve circulation. This is partly because it helps initiate compensation mechanisms that cause blood vessels, especially arteries, to dilate and contract. Additionally, it helps with certain levels of cardiovascular adaptation, which over time improves our circulatory system's adaptability and, consequently, circulation benefits greatly. The fourth benefit is of interest to many, the improvement in your defenses. When inflammation decreases, it allows the entire system to regenerate and properly reset. Remember, when the body has high levels of inflammation, the immune system decreases, and when inflammation decreases, the immune system can properly reset. So, they act like a balance. When one is up, the other is down. The reset of the immune system and the reappearance of immunological cellular mechanisms are results of taking cold immersions. The fifth mechanism is that some people experience improvements in memory and mental stability. Many find it useful for meditation, connecting with themselves, and having a moment to focus entirely on what they're doing. This involves both adrenaline receptors and the stimulus we get at the cellular level, right where energy is produced in the cell, in the mitochondria. This helps our mitochondria have a bit of better activity and an increase in energy production. That is, the increase in that metabolic rate will be very useful for having more energy during the day because I'm telling my cells to slightly increase energy precisely due to the stressful stimulus I'm bringing to my body. The sixth mechanism is the improvement in sleep quality. Some people, especially in places with elevated temperatures or during the summer, find it hard to fall asleep properly because the best temperature for falling asleep is between 18 and 20 degrees Celsius. So, when we take a cold shower or immerse ourselves, it might help lower our body temperature a bit, making it easier to fall asleep when we go to bed. This allows us to enter deep sleep more easily and have better sleep during the night. The seventh mechanism is that some people may also experience a reduction in stress levels. This might seem paradoxical because cold showers can cause an increase in cortisol levels since it's stressful. However, remember that the increase in adrenaline levels, especially locally, means that at the muscle level, almost all skeletal musculature, these adrenaline levels will cause the muscle to attempt small contractions, like when you're very cold and shiver. This release of adrenaline and the subsequent leveling off of cortisol will be absolutely useful. Over time, this allows for levels of adaptation that, on the contrary, serve to reduce stress levels. Additionally, this is linked to what I just mentioned. Many people achieve states of self-observation, mindfulness, and contemplative states during immersions, which help activate the parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for sleep, relaxation, tissue repair, and the proper functioning of all defenses and digestion. So, you might wonder how long you should immerse yourself because there are different opinions, whether it should just be the last splash of the shower, the entire shower, or if you should bathe for 10 minutes. The effects start to appear from 30 seconds to a minute, and there's no need to go much beyond 5 minutes. So, a practice of only from 1 minute to 5 minutes is more than enough. Prolonged periods, especially when immersing in ice or ice water, can have effects that could lead to the opposite, such as hypothermia, which is a drop in body temperature and could have harmful effects on the body. Now let's review the mechanisms. What happens in the body? Because we've seen the benefits, but why? What happens in our body when we're doing immersions in cold water? The first mechanism I talked about in the circulatory part is vasoconstriction. When we achieve mechanisms of vasoconstriction, we allow the reduction of inflammation and partly reduce edema or swelling in some inflamed tissue due to the mechanism of vasoconstriction, which will later bring a mechanism of adaptation with dilation. This over time will allow an improvement in circulation. The second mechanism is an increase in central blood flow. As I will have peripheral vasoconstriction, that is, in my extremities, I will have an increase in circulation in tissues. This will be absolutely beneficial, especially in cardiovascular health, because it will allow us to have a bit of peripheral resistance but have an improvement in the circulation in all our organs. The third mechanism I mentioned is the activation of the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic activation throughout the body's alert and flight system allows our body to have a small release of adrenaline and a bit of cortisol release, but especially local adrenaline release at the muscle level. The sympathetic stimulus causes us to release small amounts of adrenaline, and we start to be like frozen, like that image you see in the movie The Shining when you're absolutely frozen. Those small contractions allow us to have levels of adaptation. But besides that, it shows even some studies how cold therapies through those small muscle contractions and that adrenaline release contribute to fat consumption. And some people use it to lose weight precisely because of this specific stimulus. The fourth mechanism is have an increase in the stimulus of the immune system so that the immune system learns to be much more alert precisely because it causing a decrease in inflammation levels, as we had mentioned before. The fifth mechanism has shown that in cold showers, there can be an increase in the release of hormones such as serotonin or dopamine, which can lead to feeling pleasure. And you might say, no, this is impossible. A cold shower can never be pleasant, and that seems absolutely unbearable to me. I don't want to take a cold shower. I think exactly the same. I like hot water, but occasionally, I do my immersion in cold water because, especially as I will mention now at a very specific moment in my life, it can increase metabolism and energy expenditure. What is metabolism? It's when I have the capacity for oxygen and glucose to enter the cell, enter the mitochondria, and from there produce energy. So, what are the risks? What can go wrong? Because you might say, no, I've already watched this video, and I'm going to the shower. I'm going to fill the bathtub with ice and cold water and get in. What are the risks? The main risk I had mentioned before is hypothermia, which is as dangerous as fever. Another risk that may appear is difficulty breathing. Many people, and we've all experienced it, if you've been in the snow in a snowy forest or climbing somewhere snowy, start to find it difficult to breathe, especially if someone has a pre-existing condition like asthma or COPD of any kind. Whatever we have at the pulmonary level can affect us when we simply do this. Obviously, getting out and warming up will allow us to recover, but it can be a very unpleasant transient effect. We were saying that small levels of stress and small stressful stimuli can have a positive benefit on my health, but high levels of stress in a person who has alterations in compensation mechanisms, that is, who has chronic stress, congestive heart failure in an advanced stage, or any heart problem related to chronic stress levels in their body that they haven't managed properly, even people with neurocardiogenic syncope. Anyone within this spectrum might need to evaluate the time they do it or the moment they do it, because while looking for a benefit, that positive mechanism in many people, in someone who doesn't have the ability to compensate properly because they're filled with it, what I'm going to do is add to the problem they already have. There can be dehydration, especially when someone spends a long time, long sessions, which can cause a person to sweat a lot due to the need to generate heat or release a lot of water, a lot of steam, precisely because of that. When we're trying to incorporate and generate a bit more heat, this can cause us to release water, and one says, but water, or how to say that water by breathing? Well, if you get close to glass and breathe on it, the glass fogs up precisely because we have the capacity when we exhale. When we inhale in this way, one of the ways we lose water during the day is exactly what I'm doing at this moment, talking. So we have to be very careful, and long exposures, especially in ice, can obviously cause some skin burns. Before we go, I want to ask you please, if you like these videos, share them with all your contacts, and please also leave us a like to improve the algorithm so that more people can find this content. Remember to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell. Thank you in advance for your generosity, and see you next time.